Hello and welcome back to Inquisitor Martyr. Last time we finished up stage 6? 7? One of the stages, I'll check it in a second. But I believe we are now on a new stage of the invasion. Yep, stage 7. Tipping point. The situation is starting to turn desperate across all fronts. Several outer hives have fallen and the orbital defenses have been breached, opening up the major hive belt for planetary bombardment. Multiple frontline segments threaten with collapse, and the Drukhari have ramped up their raids as well. Now our only option is to manage crisis after crisis and hoping for the best. 257% damage suffered. That's rough. But we can do it.
Several warp rifts are active in the area. Don't stay in that cesspit any longer than necessary, Inquisitor.
So I actually ended up I had some slots in my injector and one of my melt-a-pistols, so I gave myself 30 HP per second regen by inserting some shards, and then I inserted some other ones into the gun to give me, I want to say 24 HP per hit. So it'll give me a good amount of sustain. I might actually put some into this needler rifle if I can't get a good replacement anytime soon. That's fantastic. But this way I can utilize them better. Whew, that damage. But so I haven't seen any major news in terms of Warhammer lately, so I figured why not go over a little bit more lore. And honestly, a bit of lore I find really interesting is the STCs, the Standard Template Constructs. The easiest way to describe them is they're supercomputers. STCs are AI that can produce stuff. It's all Dark Age of technology. I'm pre-Horus Heresy tech. Actually, very pre-Heresy tech. And some of the most well-known things like Lehman Russes were STCs, or an STC recovered during the Horus Heresy. There is the Centurion battle armor, which, if you don't remember it's like an exosuit Space Marines can climb into. I just don't remember anyone actually using them, either in the miniature game or in terms of just lore. You know, it's kind of those things where it's like, why use that when I can use a dreadnought? There was the Land Raider and Land Speeder, both discovered by Lord Arkan Land. Hence why they're named after him. There's the ball pattern Predator tank, used exclusively by the Blood Angels. Yeah, the Blood Angels. I just stopped for a second. I was like, is it Blood Angels or Blood Ravens? No, it's the Angels, because it's Sanguinius' guys. And that's a Predator tank built more for infantry support, so it can have, assault cannons, it can use flamestorm cannons, it's got side-mounted flamers, or I want to say it's machine guns. It ends up being just an infantry support platform, which I actually really like. I think that's cool. The Dark Angels get some stuff. One of their air vehicles has a special engine that they found the STC for and never shared it because it's the Dark Angels and they're dicks. The more I learn about the Dark Angels, the more I do think they are somewhat loyal to Chaos. Because there's no way... Yes, I get it. The Unforgiven, it's their whole... guys like Cypher, I get it. It's their shame. Oh, we had some dudes who turned rogue and got away. but they manage it in such a way that it just feels like they're covering up for something. You know, you can't just sit here and look me in the eyes and be like, yeah, this is totally reasonable. Like, they hide so much and have wiped out Imperial allies just for potentially getting a little too close. I need 2 more points in strength. I think it is my primary stat, one of my stat lines. And then I get 1 HP regained on hit. But going back to STCs, the actual computer is very rarely recovered to the point where it's pretty much unheard of to find them. What's usually found when they refer to as STC fragments is it's literally parts of an STC. It can be printouts, it's any little piece that they can get their hands on. Sometimes they can recover it enough to say, okay, this can be used, sometimes not. There's been some weapons and armor, I can't remember the names off the top of my head, that were never utilized because they were still too difficult to produce. There was a STC Titan that was essentially an automated, about the size of a Castigor Titan, that I'm trying to think of the name, the Grey Knights found and destroyed because nothing fun can be had around the Grey Knights. They are the fun police of 40K. Oh yeah, I have that ability. I'm so used to just using the single burst, or the twin beams, that I forget other abilities exist with these guns. But yeah, STCs are cool. A lot of my stuff I get off Lexicanum because trying to actually nail down all the lore and their sources is a bit difficult. But you can infer a lot of stuff about it, the stuff that's written on there says that the AdMech will send an expedition just on a rumor, which that alone should tell you how valuable STC fragments are. If a rumor can result in an entire expeditionary force being deployed. There was a paint that got discovered. It allowed for essentially expedited painting of equipment, and it angered entire planets whose whole job was to paint things, to the point where there were accusations of it being tainted by chaos. So it had to sit for 700 years just to be sure that it wasn't chaos tainted. Even though that has happened, chaos tainted STCs do occur. They sometimes end up just on a planet that chaos overruns. I haven't seen anything about an actually chaos-owned STC, which is a bit of a bummer because I think that'd be an interesting bit to kind of go into. Yeah, I'm definitely going to invest in a couple slots on this gun just so I can get some HP on hit. Because I can sit here and dump a good number of shots long range. I just need the damage, or the heals. But I mean, outside of getting caught in a little blast here, I'm actually surviving pretty well. Yeah, STCs are neat. Another little bit of 40K lore that is used, but I don't think is used enough. I'll have to move in on him once I lose these guys. God, it sucks I haven't even made my way through a single warp gate yet. Oh, well, I'm stupid. I partially cleared to one, then doubled back. Oh well, at least it means I should be able to push into it easier. These guys also have reflect heat damage, but it's only like 3%, so I'm not too concerned. 29, that's literally 1 HP, 1 second of HP regen reflected back on me. I mean, look at this, I was able to handle that, which, I mean, I would have been able to handle that normally, but it felt easier. And that's all I can really ask for. Oh, another thing I just remembered with STCs is House Van Sar in Necromunda. They have an STC, it's slightly defective, and a lot of them have developed quirks over time, but theirs is slightly defective, that's why their weapons leak radiation and kill you. Though they still make pretty good las weapons for, you know, what is effectively civilian use. Oh, and another one, just remembering off the top of my head because I'm on autopilot shooting these guys. But another one that comes up is, this is actually recent lore, 41st millennium level stuff here, is there was a drug literally called Panacea, could cure anything, and the Dark Eldar stole it. Because what else are the Dark Eldar gonna do except just jump in, yoink some stuff, and then leave? You know, I get it, the Dark Eldar they don't have enough of a population to sustain a protracted war, but I kind of wish they did because they're just an annoyance in terms of lore at this point. I mean, they're effectively the Snidely Whiplash, haha, I'm going to steal your stuff kind of guys, and it's not even like, oh man, they're so devious, I'm so tired of them. They are the swiper from Dora the Explorer of 40K. Except instead of swipe or no swiping, you just want to break their hands.
We are still detecting signs of demonic presence. Go to the next rift.
That actually went pretty good. You know what? I'm gonna complain more. I don't like Dark Angels. I've said it before already, but God, I just hate Dark Angels. They're such dicks. Everybody else, every other loyalist faction I'm cool with. Like, even Ultramarines, as bland and milquetoast as they are, I'm like, you know what? At least they're the generic one. You know, a generic group always has to exist, so it's whatever. But Dark Angels are just like, oh, we're mysterious and brooding to the point where we're annoying. It's like, no, just stop it. Get some help. I did see people talking about whether or not other Primarchs should come back, because some of them are still around. Ferrus Manus is dead. He had his head cut off. Rip the homie. But short of him, Vulcan is alive, to my knowledge. Lionel Johnson is still alive. Also, haha, his name's Johnson. I'm trying to think who else. Corvus Corax. He's alive, but he's really messed up because the lore for him, he got so pissed that he went into the Eye of Terror to hunt chaos and effectively has become warped by the warp, and now he's like a shadow monster. Which also, cool as hell way of treating that guy. Like, oh, the jump jet using equivalent of like Conrad Kurz, and it's just like, nah, he is a shadow monster now. He is mega pissed. It's like, you know what? I respect it. That's actually really cool. I'm trying to think who else. Jagatai Khan? I don't remember what happened to him. I think he's dead? He might be alive, just hunting. So Sanguinius is deader than Elvis. Once again, rip the homie. He would have been cool to have around. Lehman Russ. What happened to him? Is he dead? So many guys just went missing. They're just MIA that I don't remember who's still around. I would like to see Vulcan, though. Vulcan, of all the Primarchs, a lot of them are kind of, you know, to the level of like Rowboat Girly Man, where he's kind of up his own ass to a degree. Being like, oh, I'm a Primarch, While Vulcan, the lore and the books that had him always made him seem like he was just kind of a dude. Like, he was reasonable and actually down to earth. Man, I wish Ferrus Manus wasn't, you know, decapitated. I'm an Iron Hands guy. I gotta like him. What kind of sucks is a lot of the, like the Chaos Primarchs are still alive. A lot of them, not all of them. Like, Perturabo is still around, if I remember correctly.
Reloading.
Like, what's he doing? Sitting with the Iron Hand, or, yeah, the Iron Warriors, just, like, cranking it. You got Fulgrim becoming a Demon Prince Snake Man. I still love that there was one loyalist, Emperor's Children Dreadnought that survived, like, I think it was the Drop Site Massacre, and just went crazy, lured Fulgrim back, and then detonated a virus bomb. Just the ultimate get-bent sign of resistance. Like, no, you lost your way. I'm going to finish this my way, and just takes on his own Primarch.
Overheat.
One less gateway into the madness.
Overheat.
Just the sheer balls on that man. Even in a Dreadnought, he probably needed like a Land Raider to carry his titanic nuts. And I respect that. That loyalist, that Emperor's Children Marine, he earns the title of homie. He is an officially recognized homie who gets a rip the homie. Though I will admit, the lore from before that I had mentioned, it was a while ago now, of Fabius Bile and him making a clone. I would love to see that clone of Fulgrim show up. Just because the way this setting is right now, there's so much chaos that I'm just like, you know what, why don't we throw in a little more chaos?
I found you guilty of heresy.
Hey, didn't explode into a warp nuke.
Overheat.
That's appreciated. Yeah, now we're starting to... Oh god, that mine. So now we're starting to kind of roll a little bit faster here, but I'm worried what other challenges could lay in wait.
Reloading.
Yeah, I'll probably see if I can put some slots into this needler rifle between episodes, see if I can get it tricked out.
Loading.
Once again, it's kind of like how it was with Monster Hunter. I realize I can add or remove decorations in that. I realize I can add or remove shards in this without any problems. So it's like, okay, I just need to do that from here on in. You know, I'm willing to socket in some stuff that gives me a little extra sustain. Why not?
Recoil unclean.
I just have to remember to remove it before I destroy any of my gear. I can sneak around.
Repent.
We'll deal with the shooters first, because they're more annoying than anything. They also seem to hit real hard. Man, I wish the Grey Knights were more interesting. They're too... I'd say they're Mary Sue's, but the equivalent would be a Gary Stew. Like, oh, they're all the most elite anti-demon trained guys. They're all trained to resist possession. Like, how do you resist possession? Do you just clench your butthole really tight and that keeps the demons out? I mean, that'll work against Slaneshi demons, that's a given. But I don't know about the other ones. I don't think they go in through that way. It's like, I feel like they're written too... They have too much plot armor. You know, they're Ultramarine level plot armor kind of stuff. It's like, I never vibe with that, especially when you're trying to do this grimdark setting. I would rather see them fall just as easily. Or at least, instead of being like, oh, they're trained to resist possession, make it their armor has more put into it to resist it.
Overheat.
Oh, cool. Really needed that for that warp beacon, but whatever. Yeah, I just want a better way of introducing them as this kind of elite force. What I would take, actually, is essentially making them the Death Watch of like demonic incursions.
Our duty can be ungrateful sometimes, but today you saved thousands from damnation, and our last task is to cover this up. Slightly depressing, isn't it?
Like, that way, I think would be the really interesting thing. The most interesting thing is to have it where it's not just, oh, you're trained, it's, hey, you guys were, you know, these Space Marines were stationed somewhere, or they fought a demonic incursion. These guys came out of it unscathed, they went through the purity test, they came out fine. They're good. They're more skilled at what they do than others, so we're going to kind of conscript these guys and say, hey, you're our new anti-demon force. You can leave after a set time, or you can stick around. And then all these guys being like, yeah, I'm just gonna stick around, keep doing what I do, I'm good at it. And then you can introduce them having all this like fancy OP tech. I don't care at that point. My whole thing is just introducing them in a more reasonable manner. Wow, that hit hurt a lot. Oh, that's why it hurt. He whipped grenades point blank. I don't need to be doing this, but there's a chest over there and I want it.
Loading.
My greed knows no bounds. Plus, if I die, I die. I don't lose anything at this point. He heals in the bubble? I never realized that. That makes this fight a little more dangerous. That's why I'm going right in on him. We're doing this the stupid way. I don't know why that wasn't registering hits, but whatever.
Eradicated.
Once again, no psychic blast. I cannot figure out, maybe I need to look at their traits again to see if I'm missing something for why they don't have a death blast. Wasn't that worth it? But the reborn curios are nice. Shard, worth it. The bonus is not good. That's actually really useful, I will admit. And I got a challenge done. Cool. That would actually be good if I had a secondary bolt pistol. What do these guys have? HP... God, these guys get a lot of resists. Yeah, we'll do it.
Maim the heretic, slay the treacherous Xenos, banish the fork-tongued demon spawn.
God, this is gonna be a long as hell fight. Everybody gets 40% more health. They have physical resist and heat resist, so I cannot counter them. Because I can't do that. I will admit that is annoying. They have resist to both damage types I can deal, and warp is something you cannot do as a damage type. I hope that's something that the Sisters of Battle character can do, is at least do warp on top of everything else.
Reloading.
Because otherwise, one, it makes the Psyker the only point of warp damage on the player side. But then on top of that, it's also just really rough when you get stuff like this where it's like, oh, everybody has resistance. It's like, yeah, but I can't. I can't hit them with that. You know, it's nice when they get like the 40% HP and 40% warp resist when I can't do warp, because it's like, yeah, I don't care. You know, you got half a buff there, my guy. But in cases like this, I'm not gonna say I'm hard countered. I'm able to still pummel these guys into the ground. Just 40% slower. I mean, as is, I've already cleared this area, and I just have to push through. I swear if there's a Lehman Russ, I'm going to scream. Because that is going to suck so hard. You know what, I have the ability, I might as well just spam it. Yeah, I really want that 1 HP, 1% max HP gained per hit. When I get that, at least I'll have sustain. That was the whole point of me slotting in the other things too, was to give myself extra sustain. Of course, there's a guy who can duplicate himself up there. I saw him move, and I was just like, I hope that isn't it. And then I just looked at the mini-map, and just saw 3 of him appear. The good part, though, is at least I get all my damage buffs. 50% damage increase against debuffed opponents. Well, look at all the debuffs. I can at least keep them... I mean, look at that. The damage, it's not great. I will definitely not sit here and lie to you and be like, oh, it's completely viable. Nah, it kind of sucks. But it could be worse. This is damage output that could be a lot worse. Alright, let's move in and go for our trick here. On the upside, there isn't the damage reflect.
Overheat.
Ah, he's so close. You guys should walk by the mines. It is safe and fun to do. $180,000 damage. God. Or HP. I hate that so much. My only hope is to get one of them whittled down, and then his Death Blast takes out the others. Of course you shank the shot you need to land. Yeah, if you haven't figured it out already, be very careful when shooting from cover. Because the angle you come out of cover from dictates, like, the angle your shot goes, so you can absolutely miss. Yeah, if I put the extra slots into this, I can give myself like a 50% dot bonus, and I think that's probably the play. Because if I'm doing, 43 damage, I can spike that to 60, let's say 64? That's a pretty solid damage up. Hey, he was the main one. So I didn't even have to worry about the others. Melt-A-Gun of Ascendancy. I mean, you're gonna be hard-pressed to really, disincentivize me from using twin Melt-A-Pistols. Unless it's like, hey, every 3 hits you're gaining 50% of your HP back. At that point, yeah, you got me. I'm gonna switch. But short of that, you're gonna be struggling, or it doesn't exist, but if one of them was like, hey, you deal X% damage and you gain it as shield, that would be cool. Mostly because I will take free shield. I really need to sit down and actually test some stuff to see if I can give myself more shields somehow. Because there's some stuff that gives you shield efficiency.
Loading.
And I don't know if that means my shields, I get more, or if it's my regen is improved. Because improved regen would not be bad. But when it's like you gain, I don't even know how much I gain per second. Let's say I gain 10. If it's like a 20% efficiency boost, 2 shield a second is not enough in my eyes. I would need a flat number at that point. But that's how these games always go. Any game like this, or even mobile games where you have flat stats and percentage stats. Percentage stats benefit you when you have large numbers, flat stats help you at lower number. Because 20% of 2 is not as much as just plus 20. Honestly, I'm surprised they are doing another character for this. I guess the game is done well. Good on the devs, I'm glad. I just... When it comes to 40k games and extended support, I'm always pretty taken back. Because it's 40k, that no matter what you do, it's still pretty niche. Which is also why I'm still pretty butthurt that Darktide seems to still be a PC and Xbox exclusive. Because I would love to play that on my PlayStation. But I guess not. And I don't fully grasp why you would want to cut potentially a third of your player base out. I mean, it's potential sales, unless... Here's my thing. Microsoft had to promise the devs money, and I bet you $5 it's going to be Game Pass like day one or within the first month. I highly doubt they make a lot of money off Game Pass. Just me spitballing here, but my guess is Game Pass studios likely try to leverage the user numbers for like shareholders. Being like, oh, see, we got this many people playing, not we got this many sales. You know, yeah, we had to effectively give the game away for free on a cheapo subscription service for a couple months. And then, of course, we haven't seen... Some of these games are starting to finally come off Game Pass. And the question I have is, what are their player numbers looking like once they leave Game Pass? Are these games at that point effectively dead? Could they have actually had a longer lifespan had they been kept on? Or if they had just sold copies normally? Something we don't know, and I think is important to really figure out. I also just don't like all these, like, bonus subscription services, you know. Sony's doing one. It's like, hey, you already paid for PlayStation Plus. Do you want to pay for extra stuff to get access to, you know, PS2 and PS3 games? It's like, no. If I own the copies, I want to be able to play my games. I don't want to pay you, you know, even $60 again per year just to play stuff I already potentially own a copy of. And for me, it's worthless because a lot of games, even if they're on like a pass system, a lot of games I'm just not interested in. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and download a game I don't care about just because it's free to play right now. I've made that mistake enough.
Loading.
You know, PS Plus games will be like, hey, it's free, and then I play it and I'm like, oh, it sucks. Like Godfall. Fired that up. And they're like, oh, it's the Challenger Edition. You get to be put at endgame immediately. And I'm like, wait, you're selling me the story? I don't care about endgame. Especially when they're like, oh, here's some enemies. And I'm looking at it like, I don't know how to fight these guys. I never encountered them. The game's just like, figure it out, moron. It's like, no. At least Sony was cool enough to give away Deep Rock Galactic, which, if you haven't played it, play it. It's so fun. You play as space dwarves mining and fighting bugs. Has a little bit of an EDF, Earth Defense Force vibe with the bug fighting. You get to just dig around, find stuff. I enjoy it. I've seen a lot of people also say it's a pretty good game. Yeah, I gotta say, the on-hit and passive regen stuff I've gotten in smaller fights has boosted, I think, my survivability. Plus, shifting off the sniping. 257% damage suffered and 83% of my damage being mitigated. I can't be like, yeah, I can totally snipe. God, can you imagine trying to do a melee build with all this going on? I mean, if you're doing a melee build as the assassin anyways, you are either... you've figured out something I can't see, you got a god roll, or you might be kind of dumb, because there's no way I can imagine it going well. You know, all their gear, her health, the only thing that works is the time stop. That is the only thing where I can sit here and say, yeah, that is conducive to a melee build. Because all you'd have to do is roll in, drop the field, and then just start swinging. Short of that, you are... oh god, you are struggling. Even against trash guys, when I'd fight them, they just start slapping me around. I'm like, dude, come on, you know? I probably could melt-a-gun these guys. Should I? I don't know. I was hoping for something a little better out of that. Alright, everybody group up.
Overheat.
Yeah, I knew that was gonna overheat. I'd love to see a 40k game with lore-accurate damage. Because bolter rounds are effectively 50 cal gyrojets, and they're portrayed as like one hit obliterating a man. So I'd love to see stuff like that, or how a Exodus rifle would work, how las weapons or the melta weapons would work. I think you'd have an interesting situation. Oi, come on. Group up.
You are no Astartes, but you can certainly fight, Inquisitor.
I mean, at least my damage is still decent. I feel like it's definitely part of whatever your enemy penalty or like enemy bonuses are, really make or break these situations. Because even the physical resist isn't that terrible, but it's also... guardsmen are flimsy. You know, you can just sit here and wail on these guys. Your biggest things are their champions, their villains, their captains, and their vehicles. Their frontline infantry is so trashy that you're nonplussed by them. You know, you see them and you're like, oh, that's quaint. I knew it! I knew there was gonna be a vehicle, but Sentinel is very, very doable.
Loading.
And I still have mines, so I don't really care too much. I just gotta wait on my cooldowns. I mean, look at that. These guys are already one down. One's at 50% health. One's gonna be, I think he's at 75. Oh, he's at half health. And then I'm just gonna run up Time Field Melta and body this other guy. Easy claps.
Overheat.
Oh my god, that did not do as much damage as I thought it would. I mean, it's whatever, I'll manage, but I was kind of hoping for a little more damage output. At least this position's a little harder for me to get hit by. Yeah, heavy armor. Heavy armor is where I get screwed. Because heavy armor just negates so much damage I can put out. I'm just gonna mine you, dude. Have fun. There, all your suppression is gone now.
Loading.
Ah, now you can't rocket me. I would not suggest doing this. This is actually very stupid, but for the time being it seems to be working.
Overheat.
Yeah, I got him.
Is a good day.
Last second, too. Come on, surprise me with something really good. That is actually phenomenal. Damage taken to energy shields is HP and more energy shield. I love it. Increased HP regen when taking a bunch of... That might be... God, those were actually pretty solid. But that is all for now. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like button. It helps out the channel a lot. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.